Hello everyone, welcome back to Toughest Podcast here today. Today we are doing a video that might get me into some trouble with some of you. It is indeed the ranking of all the Doctors, and we're doing it in a tier list format for you guys today. Hopefully you don't hate me. Yeah, this is going to be a really fun video, I think. It should be fun, we'll see. But yeah, we got all the Doctors in a tier list and we're going to see how they stack up. In my mind, just a quick disclaimer, I don't dislike any Doctors. Actually, I don't, I love them all. I think they're great. I love every era of Doctor Who, at least some aspect of it. There's no Doctor that I really dislike, so just to put that out there. Number two, I'm not saying that my list is the correct list, it is just my opinions, so I'm not here trying to tell you this is how you should like Doctor Who, this is just my thoughts on it. Also, number three, I'd like to hear your lists. If you got lists, put them down in the comments down below, let me know how wrong I am. And without further ado, I'm not here to waste your time, so let's get into the picks. Quickly, just a quick disclaimer on our tiers here. We have fish custard, would trust to look after my pet, wearable technology, questionable fashion sense, and the lost moon of Poosh. Now to explain a few of these, lost moon of Poosh, it's just irrelevant, isn't it? Something that comes up every now and then, has no real impact on the story. Yes, I know it's from the planets in Journey's End, but meh. Questionable fashion sense, I know it's a bit weird me saying that. Wearable technology, the definition of mids, it was alright. It was a pair of sunglasses for one series of Doctor Who. It was fine. Would trust to look after my pet. Maybe not my favourite person in the world, but do you know what? I trust them to look after my pet. But I thought it was funny. This is a bit of a weird here because I don't have a pet anymore actually, but why not? We'll go with it. And of course we have the one and only fish custard, mainly because I've tried it and I actually kind of like it. So fish custard at top for me. What do you want to go with first? Let's start with the first Doctor. Get him done right out of the way. And for me, it's questionable fashion sense. Look, I might get in trouble with this. I appreciate William Hartnell as the person that started it all. However, I struggle to get invested in a lot of his stories. That doesn't mean there's not any good ones. I love the Aztecs. I actually like Time Meddler, which we've done on the show. Obviously, As a Child, the first part is really good, and also Edge of Destruction I like as well. But there are a few of them that are slow burners. I think they were really struggling to find out what, to know what to do with all the companions at the start, which believe me is not just an isolated instant win in his era. But yeah, I don't know. It's a Doctor that I'm not a massive fan of. I like the fact that he evolves over the series. It actually becomes a lot more, lighter and a lot less dark, and a lot less grumpy. But he also soothes him a lot, like the first couple of seasons, and that puts him down in terms of story quality. I'm just not a Susan Foreman fan. But no, again, there were really high highs, but for me there were low lows, and yeah, for me it's not a Doctor that I go to all the time. We should go next. Paul McGann, questionable fashion sense again. Now, before you have a go at me, I haven't listened to Big Finish, or at least enough of it to form form an opinion on Paul McGann in Big Finish. But what I can say is, as someone that has obviously watched the TV movie, watched Name of the Doctor, obviously great actor, was fantastic in Power of the Doctor when he popped back up, but there's not enough of him to go any higher, and that's really gutting. I know some people are shouting for spin-offs. Don't think that's the best idea, giving another Doctor a spin-off as the other Doctors on the screen, but hey, that's just my opinion. But McGann should have got more. It's a shame he didn't. There was a lot of potential there. Don't really like the TV movie either. Loved him in the Night of the Doctor. It was fantastic, and he was brilliant in it. But again, only 10-minute cameo, short film. So for me, it can't really go higher. Like I said, he was fine when I saw him, but I've not seen him in too much. Right, should we go with next for a Mon Doctor, Peter Capaldi. I trust Capaldi to look after my pet. Like Series 10 Capaldi, I would. But yeah, I like Capaldi a lot. Actually, my opinion on him has gone up a lot higher. The more I've gone back to rewatch the episodes, actually, big fan, especially the late stuff. However, he is really good at doing the darker side of the Doctor, which is a side of the character that I'm not hugely a fan of. But overall, it's something that I've come to appreciate when I'm really watching it. Actually, when Capaldi is on fire, there's nothing quite like it. The only issue is that he does have some poor episodes and some poor characterization. I go back to Kill the Moon, it's really bad in that. Not his fault, it's just the Doctor leaves the companion to decide whether to blow up the moon, which is Neg, and all this sort of stuff. It's a weird one, that. And there obviously there are a few other occasions of it. I'm not a massive fan of him coming in on the tank, playing a guitar, that sort of thing. However, he's whip sharp, he's really funny, he's really good at the dramatic stuff. So overall, massive fan of him. Would trust him to look after my pet. Not quite fish custard, not quite on the top tier for me, but certainly an incredible Doctor. Next up, let's go with John Hurt. And for me, John Hurt isn't a Lost Moon of Poosh, the War Doctor himself. Only because, again, there's less of him, and overall, I don't think there wasn't that many dimensions to his character, because he had to fulfill a certain role, so he sort of knew where his role was going, and just as he started to develop, he regenerated into Eccleston, which is fine, because it was meant to be for Eccleston anyway, or at least, Moffat at least had that idea at some point within time. So, yeah, he's absolutely brilliant in the one episode he's in, and he's probably created Big Finish as well. Not listened to it. And also, I've read Engines of War, and he's very good in that. So, again, it's really difficult because I like every Doctor, but one of them had to go bottom tier. David Tennant. David Tennant, for me, is in wearable technology. Now, Mr. 10. The people's favourite, well, of the modern era anyway. And I like him a lot. The issue is that he just plays more of a guy than he does an alien, and it kind of becomes more of a soap opera with him in the show. He's flirting with his companions, he's got a lot of family drama with the companions, which I know a lot of people like and are excited to come back for the RTD2 era. I'm not a huge fan of the old soap opera stuff, really. I don't mind the family side of things and getting to know more about the companions, and I think that's a necessary thing. But I wasn't a massive fan of the romantic side of his character. I also don't like the Time Lord Victoria stuff. I think it comes in way too late for the character, and it's only there for 3 episodes, and he kind of goes out on an unlikable note, giving that speech to Wilf, which I know some fans like. I just think the Doctor should instantly not be speeching about whether he's going to kill an old man or not to save himself. Don't like that. So for me, he's in wearable technology. Next up, let's go for Jo Martin. Jo Martin, questionable fashion sense. She doesn't have questionable fashion sense. In fact, none of the Doctors in that tier, actually, they probably have some of the more reasonable fashion sense. But Jo Martin, I like her I like her more than John Hurt. 1, she has more appearances. 2, I like Tom's Child arc, as you guys know if you watch this show, and I like her involvement in it. I think that first time watching Fugitive the Jadoon was incredible. Obviously, it suffers from rewatch value because it's basically built on its reveals, but you could say the same thing about some other things that are similar to that with big reveals, isn't it? I think she's brilliant. I think she's got a great rapport with Jodie Whittaker in that episode, and she's brilliant when she pops up briefly in Timeless Children is the episode, Alex. And of course she appeared in Power of the Doctor again, and so she has a few appearances throughout the show. I think she's really fun. Just really like her character, and I think that she's a step above John Hurt, because for me there was more intrigue with the character. You didn't know where the character was going, and that to me puts her a spot above John Hurt. And who should we go with next? Do you know what? Let's go with Peter Davison. 5 Doctors BFI coming up this week. Do you know what? I trust him to look after my pet. I'd say he's a step above David Tennant. I actually mean that as well. I really like Davison. I don't really get the bland comments when it comes to Davison. People say he's really bland. I quite like his character. I quite like his run in the show. A big fan of Frontios, me, which is a bit of a weird one, I know, a bit of a rogue shout, Frontios, but do you know what? I'm a fan. I like Frontios a lot. You get a lot of interesting things going on with Frontios. bugs and stuff. But apart from Frontios, let me just talk about Frontios. It's a really fun era. I like his character. If you get to the amazing Caves of Androzani, he's fantastic in that. I like his rapport with his companions, except Adric, but I don't like Adric anyway, so respect to Davison for that one. And yeah, overall, just a really solid era of Doctor Who, and one of my favourites from the classics, for sure. The reason he's not top tier is I think his era does take a dip. I also think he's maybe not the most three-dimensional of characters. And also, he's just kind of... The bland comments, I get it. I don't think he's that bland, but he's certainly not as interesting as some of the other characters that would go higher than Davison, let's say that. Let's start. John Pertwee. I'm scared. I'm really scared for this one. I'm going to put him in wearable technology above David Tennant. Middle tier for me, Pertwee. And this is annoying. This one's scary because there's a lot of John Pertwee fans out there, and I'm not just talking about John who does the show with me. It's because I just think his stories are too long. That's the thing for me, right? 7 parts. I know you can watch them in bit parts. I don't want to. It's not how my watching style works. So yeah, the issue is the 7-parter when it's really good. It's really good, and it's like you've succeeded 7 parts, top tier Who. When a 7-parter is mid, like Doctor Who and the Silurians or Ambassadors of Death or crazy, then you get things that I just don't get on with, like Carnival of Monsters. I think's a bit mid. You get Frontier in Space. A lot of his last season I think is pretty awful, apart from the first 2 stories. So yeah, when it comes to John Pertwee's era, I'm very in the middle on it, and that's why it's at the middle tier. I do think though when it is good, it is top tier, but for me it doesn't hit the top too often. Right, let's go with another modern Doctor here. Let's go with Eccleston. This is where I annoy some people. Do you know what? I'm going to put in the top of questionable fashion sense. Sorry everyone, I know there's going to be some fans of Eccleston that's going to want to absolutely get rid of me. I think that's valid, but I just don't really like the character too much. Now, don't get me wrong, absolutely brilliant actor. It's probably done very well in Big Finish. I don't know, I've not listened to it. But the reason that he's in 4th tier is just because it's not a version of the Doctor that I really get on with. Again, it's weird. It's a weird thing. I don't feel like I'm defending myself here. I'm not. The one thing I would say is I think he's quite a midi Doctor, and I think some Doctors do it better. I think his relationship with Rose is great until towards the end where he kisses her. I didn't think it was a romantic relationship at all, and then you get that. I think the regeneration's really good. I think he has some top episodes. I think he's absolutely brilliant. I just think the characterization's not a Doctor that resonates with me. I think that's the main issue for me anyway. That's the main issue with what's going on. Is that it's just a character that doesn't resonate very much with me, and unfortunately that means you're down lower tier here. Right, who should we do next? Let's do Matt, because we all know he's in Fish Custard. Oh, I didn't mean to label the top tier Fish Custard in reference to Matt Smith, because Matt's not going to be the only one that's in the top tier. But for me, Matt is just great. He is the Doctor for me. Love Matt Smith. Met the guy. Super sound. That doesn't affect his ranking in this, don't you worry. But just really, really nice guy. Really, really sound fella. And his Doctor is first Doctor my first Doctor anyway. Bells St. John, first ever Doctor Who episode I was a fan. And was just very good, isn't he? He's just quite good. He's quite good at this. Is Matt. So yeah, that's kind of how I describe it. So I wouldn't know what your favourite Doctor, because you could only say nice things. And yeah, I just think his era is the best. It's the one I go back to whenever I'm feeling a bit crap. It's the one that I have the most fond memories of, and he's the Doctor that I think is just the best in every facet. He's got the light-hearted stuff. He's got the dark stuff. He's the one that plays the 2,000-year-old, 1,000, however old, alien at the best. He's the one that plays the fish out of water really well. The relationships with his companions are great, minus the first kind of part where he's slightly flirting with Amy for a bit, but Moffat kills that very early, which is good. Then I like him and Clara together. I've got a controversial opinion. Maybe it's because it was my first true TARDIS team, but I really like 7B as a group episode. So yeah, that's kind of where I sit on this. But yeah, that's kind of how that's Matt Smith. He's at top tier. You don't hear me gush more about Matt Smith because I think you guys knew that was coming most likely. Next up, let's go with Colin Baker. And Colin Baker probably by definition should be going questionable fashion sense, but he's actually going to go in wearable technology. Is he? Well, I've made a switch. I feel more happy with that, actually. So he's going to go in questionable fashion. I'm going to move Eccleston up a tier. For me, I was going to say the reason I was going to put him up was because I really like the effort Colin puts in as an actor. But thinking about it, the issue is the story quality and the characterization sometimes lets them down. Obviously, one of the most recent Doctor Who reviews we did on the show, which was almost a year ago now, which is ridiculous, was of the Twin Dilemma, and we were saying in that review that we all love Colin as an actor. We think he gives the best to the role, but the writing lets him down, and the issue is it's not an isolated event either. The writing is considerably the worst in his era, and I hate to say that, I really do, but it just is in terms of beat to beat, week to week. It's the weakest for me, bar none. So, yeah, that is that. I hate to say it because I think Colin gives us all. I think he's a fantastic Doctor in the sense of what he's done after the show, and there's a lot of Big Finish and all that sort of stuff, and he's obviously always on the convention circuit. And unfortunately, it's the writing for me of his character. I should go for next. No, let's go for McCoy. McCoy goes in Fish Custard. I really like Sylvester McCoy. I know what you're thinking. Yes, he has two very good series, but isn't the first one isn't it a bit rubbish? No. For one episode and one episode only. Delta and the Bannerman. I think it's brilliant. I think it's top tier. Yes, you get Time in the Rani. Yeah. Yes, you get Dragonfire, which I know some people like. I actually really struggled with that one, actually, getting involved in that one. I thought it was a bit rubbish. But Delta and the Bannerman in the first season, it's fantastic. Those next two series are potentially peak Who. Seriously, two of the best. I mean, there's only 4 stories in them, but 3 out of the 4 each series are normally very good, and that's 75%. In terms of quality, and then you get into the characterization, and he actually has some of the best characterization. How he goes from this light-hearted kind of goofy fella to this more darker side. I really like that. Whenever Amy pops up in Survival, I thought that was really good. I think he has possibly the best Dalek story ever in his run. So you got to give credit to that. I think McCoy's fantastic, a really good actor, and has so many layers to his character, like an ogre. He's got layers. What is this video, man? Anyway, next up, who should we go with? We'll go Pete Pat Troughton, yeah, and he goes second. I like Pat Troughton a lot. Very good, really good stuff. The only annoying thing, and the reason he might not be top, is because obviously we can't watch all this stuff. And I know that there are these wonderful animations coming out, which every time you see them, they just bring a new story to life, which is really good. And I think most of the Troughton stuff's been animated or something like that now. So there's obviously a lot more of it than there was, even 6 years ago. So we're lucky in that sense, but I just think he's fantastic. I think it's a clear upgrade on William Hartnell, which I know is going to annoy some people, but I just think in terms of story quality as well, they definitely had a lot more imagination in the Troughton era to do more interesting stuff with the planets they go to and the civilizations they meet. I think Jamie McCrimmon is a fantastic companion. I think overall he has possibly one of the best regeneration stories in the war game. Just it's 10 parts, but like I said earlier about John Pertwee, if you make a long story and it's good and worth watching for 10 parts, then I don't mind watching it. And that is exactly what Troughton has. I think he's quirky. I think he's possibly the best Doctor with the Cybermen. And overall, just top tier. Like genuinely, if you're not massive on Patrick Troughton, go back and watch some of the stuff. Because for me, it's peak. Like it's peak classic Who. It doesn't get better than Patrick Troughton. Now, who do I go with next? I'll leave Tom for last. And Jodie Whittaker goes in bottom of fish custard for me. Now look, this is probably the controversial take. Actually, it isn't. It's probably Eccleston or Hartnell or any of these, or David. But Jodie Whittaker for me, I just really like the era. I don't know what it is, because I know I have a lot of friends that really don't like the era. You stack them up, she's probably at the bottom 3 of the list. But for me, it just works. I really like the era. I think there were some really good moments. I like the companions, barring Ryan Sinclair. I think it's a really strong era. You have some really fun episodes in there. I like the week-to-week format where it's a bit less kind of series arc based. And I think overall, just some really, really good story arc moments. I get what some people mean. She's a bit quirky all the time, and she's, maybe doesn't have the most depth, which I think is valid criticism. I'm not just going to sit there and go, no, everything's perfect. But for me, that's kind of the side of the Doctor I gravitate towards the most. The fun, quirky. I mean, look at my top 4. Like that's kind of the character that I like the most from the Doctor. And for me, I think it's potentially just that's why I like it a lot more. I think as well, Flux was superb. I really liked elements of Series 11. I think Series 12 was when Chibnall and his team really hit the stride. They kind of added in some story arc elements. I think Jodie throughout is superb. I think her and Sacha Dhawan's back and forth in the last 2 series were brilliant. And overall, I think, to have a companion for the entire run, like Yaz, very similar to the second Doctor and Jamie, even though Jamie came in, I think, in the second story. I think those kind of relationships are underrated, and I think that's actually really cool to have that kind of relationship in there as well. I mean, maybe that's a similarity between all of these, because Matt has Karen for most of his run, and Sylph has Ace for most of his run as well. So yeah, maybe it's just like the long Doctor companion relationship. I don't know, but yeah. It's just, for me, she is top 4. She easily top tier for me. Instantly. Again, I trust her to look after my pet, but also, I think she's better than that. So for me, she goes top 4. And speaking of 4, Tom Baker, the legend, the icon, Doctor Who himself. I'm going to put him in. Would trust to look after my pet, but I'm going to put him in 6th. So this is all in order now, guys. I'm going to put him there. Reason being is because when Doctor Who in the Tom Baker era is good, it is top tier. We are talking the Hinchcliffe years. We are talking season 7, season 7, season 12, season 13, season 14. Top tier Who. Then after that, I struggled to pick 5 stories that I actually kind of like. After that, which is really gutting, because you can tell that Tom Baker loved the role. You can tell that he was trying his best. Obviously, wasn't very happy to get ousted from the role itself, but overall, just it wasn't great. And for me, story quality does impact the Doctor's personality and their overall involvement within my interests in what they're doing. And I think that has to be an insight into why I've done this. So yeah, that would be it. I don't think I need to rearrange anything in the top. Maybe I'll do that, and maybe I'll do that. Tom Baker and Capaldi kind of flip flop. And you know what? Sorry, William Hartnell. I'm gonna move in there. I feel bad. But yeah, I feel bad for any Doctor getting lowered. I would love to know your guys' list though. This is what Doctor Who's all about. It's about sharing opinions and talking about it in the show, and I'm not sat here trying to diminish anyone else's opinions on this. So yeah, please do let me know your lists in the comments down below. like, comment and subscribe if you're new. I've got another tier list coming up next week, which isn't as divisive. I think I've done the most divisive one, got it out of the way, job done. Now it becomes a lot easier because I've got the most difficult one out of the way. But guys, please do like, comment and subscribe. I'll see you guys soon. Take care. Bye bye.